you don't have to post everything
Nope.
because even on your private story, you don't need to post everything because people take screenshots, people
Yeah.
send things around, and that's honestly the first step in how drama happens.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 7 of Did You Hear That with Shimei and Lauren. I guess it's the green episode, as you want to say. I got my hunter green, olive green, whatever you want to call it. Lauren has her
The
mm,
spring green.
spring green. It's almost summer.
Spartan?
Spring. Oh, here we go. What did I say? Beheld, whatever.
Whoa. Behold.
Behold.
Yes.
Oh, tough guys. Okay.
Beheld is crazy. Don't say that tonight, Shamai.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I won't. Thank you for telling me not to do that. But thank you guys so much. Episode 7. Uh how you doing, Lauren?
Pretty good. Every week I say this, but like I can't believe we're at episode 7. Like
Uh
this is a podcast, y'all. Like this wasn't just a one-time thing.
in Lauren's hair, it's very much like laying today. I really love it. Like or however y'all say. I like it today. It's very
Thank you.
straight, very I like the curly one, but this one really is giving, as they say. And I like the color.
Thank you.
Today's episode is all about college specific scenarios, particularly college campus life. So Lauren, what is it like navigating relationships in different social scenes going into college? What was your experience like?
Hmm. You mean just like all types of relationships?
Yeah, all types. You could divide them, all types. It could be friendships, relationships. But what was your going into college and how is it now?
I
What
think
was the
coming into college, I really wanted to find that really tight knit group of friends. Because I remember my high school experience wasn't necessarily the best, and I felt like, I had friends, but at the same time, not people that like to this day, like I feel like, oh, I could call them right now and be as close with. So I going into college, I was like, I have to find these people that I can be close to and have in my lives forever. And so I think going in with that like mindset kind of set me up for failure
Mhm.
because in a lot of like different ways. People talk about, the first big group of friends you get your welcome week. Like those people are never your friends. Anyone listening to this right now, if you come in welcome week and you're with a whole group, a big group of people for the first few weeks of the semester, they are not your friends. They are just merely people that you're hanging out with and getting to know. And I say this because for me, not only did I end up like trying to be besties with the people I lived with, but also that bigger group at the same time. And I ran into a lot of challenges that way. I honestly feel that like when it comes to the roommate situation, go with a random roommate. Don't try to find somebody to room with beforehand. Um, and then when you have that random roommate, I think it's better to just be mutual or kind of cool rather than trying to go into it being best friends because then it turns into we got to do everything together. And I don't know if it's the same for guys because it may be like totally different, but the kind of way, at least from a woman's point of view, like I was like, we got to do this together. And then my roommate, on the other hand, was even more like that. And once we realized that our personalities didn't really mesh the same, or we were the same major, and she didn't really have the same priorities as me, a lot of conflict came up because where I would be going to NABJ meetings, newspaper meetings, trying to get involved as in my freshman year, she really didn't want to get involved. And there would be times where I would try to like get her to, and she didn't want to. And then other times it would seem like she would say things out of spite, because I was getting so involved. So different things like that. Um, I think for people who have never been in serious relationships or weren't allowed to necessarily date for real, I think coming into college may be a little bit of a shocker as well because, okay, there are people of the opposite gender all around. And so for me, one thing my dad did not like about my first residence hall was that it was a co-ed residence hall.
Oh boy, that's the lawyer in him. That's probably why. he, did-
Yeah. He
uh, he saw what was going to happen. But go ahead.
yeah.
If he had that problem, he could have sent you off to Spelman.
That's where he wanted me to be, but as we digress. Um yeah, like a lot of schools freshman year they put students in just same gender housing. But here at Norfolk State, it is that way, but for our honors college, it's co-ed. So I was in honors college, I was in a co-ed building. And so you're having to also navigate, okay, there are boys on this floor, girls on this other floor. You're starting to see the guy you talked to 2 days ago with another girl, having to navigate that. Like when we there's different like group places where you can go study and you're running into guys, things like that. I think you just kind of have to navigate. I never dated anyone in that building, but I will say I kind of talked to someone for a while. It's like a situationship type thing. And I knew that person wasn't good for me, but
Is this the person that gave you something and you almost, oh, darn it. Okay, continue.
yeah, exactly. For those who don't know, like I guess wanted his attention so bad and wanted to keep him around that I kind of like let him peer pressure me into taking something that made me very, very sick.
Mm.
To the point where like to this day whenever I think about it it just makes me
Cringes you.
yeah like it was terrible. I thought I was gonna die.
Oh, man.
Such a bad night. And since we're talking about relationships and friends, this is one huge point I will make. That night where I got super sick and he brought me back to my room, the so-called girls who were supposed to be like this with me did not want to help me that night. My roommate, she helped me, but the other girls did not want to help me. They said, "Oh, she'll be okay. She'll be fine."
How dare they?
Yeah. And that just kind of proves my point that not everybody is really your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a caring person, you're an open person, you like to be social, and you're looking for that like type of friendship, you kind of have to be really careful because you'll end up going through a lot of situations like I did where it's like you really think you can rely on these people when you get into a tough situation like this and they don't even care.
Mm. Okay, well, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's number one. But you're a Lauren and you made it through. So that's all that matters. Okay, you're here to tell your story. Okay, that's all that matters. Number two. With me coming into college, um, I will going my freshman year at North Carolina Central. Oh, sorry, I had a roommate. Um, it is so funny. I had two roommates, not two roommates, and like, but like the two roommates that I have had in my collegiate career, both names were Caleb. Yes, so it's so ironic, and I get to that. But freshman year, um I had a great relationship with my roommate. He was a cool he was cool. He was barely in the room. I mean, I love that because
That's
like
nice.
very, but I was barely in the room too because I was too busy, being trying to be the male version of Wendy Williams. The freshman year, Shimei Cook, remember that. Um, but I was involved, making my mark on my campus, all that jazz. And then he, went through some stuff. He, got his girlfriend pregnant, all that stuff that he had to drop out. Yeah, and yeah, he came into and don't make me don't when I tell this story, people gonna be like, "Well, you're telling his business." he has told this before, so I could tell it too. Okay. He came into the room like, drunk as a skunk and is like on the phone with his girlfriend saying, well, I want to be parents, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, wow, that's interesting. But that was only like freshman year, but I was only on campus freshman year for a semester. And then some other stuff happened. But sophomore year, I got my own apartment. I had 2 bedrooms to myself, so I had no roommate. Thank God. Right? Thank God. I had 2 bedrooms to myself. First bedroom was nice. I had my bed, my bookshelf, and the second bedroom was my closet. So, all my suits and all that jazz. I use that as a, big closet room. So that taught me how to live by myself, how to, adult by myself, because I had to, not just take care of the bills and all that stuff, but to buy groceries, all that stuff, and go off campus, on campus, while still having doing my radio show as well. And then now my going to junior year, with my roommate Caleb that I had at Fayetteville State, great roommate. He was like a brother. He was younger than me, but he was like a brother. He was there. We looked out for each other. We bought stuff for each other, like we shared. And that's the one thing you have to, set boundaries. People will be scared like to break the ice. I'm one of those people. I don't like people going over to my side. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those people. If you move a pencil, I know that someone was over here. I'm very particular how I'm sorry. I'm just very particular how I have my stuff. I'm very particular of how so I remember like I think it was the first day he moved in because I moved in before him. 'Cause I knew what side I wanted. Because I saw the map out of the room. I wanted the window because it was more space. Um, so I have my radio on. I love radio, all that jazz, right? And I guess when he came in, he went over to the side to turn the radio off. That's strike one. Listen. And mind you, I'm gonna give him. I gave him grace because he didn't have my phone number. But he had my email. But I saw. But the thing is, he saw me. He saw me when I came into the room. After the fact though, so he could have said. But anyways, we talked it out. This is a stabbing block boundary. You have to break the ice.
Yeah.
Some people, and he was a freshman, and I was going to my junior year. Credit wise, he was a junior. He was a first year student. How about that? You get what I'm saying? Okay, okay. I want to make sure that's the case. We were only like I think a year or two apart, but credit wise, we were in almost the same level. So with that being said, when you have a roommate, you have to establish boundaries. I think that's the big thing. Um, like I said, when freshmen get or first year students get a little freedom, they like to do some things and all that jazz, and yeah. So it's just like I want the brother to have his fun, but at the same time remember that this is not just your space, this is my space as well. So just ask. I don't mind. Just will ask because I want to know. And I do the same thing for him. I tell people if I have people over, who's over, because if stuff go missing, I know who was in the room where something happened, something break. I know who was in the room, who wasn't in the room at that time. So I won't be pointing fingers. I can say, well, such and such, such and such. So just to back yourself up. That's all I say. But though that's all the conversation. But people are scared. That's how problems happen. That's how problems happen because people don't have that. Oh, it's okay. We friends for 2 weeks of school. Oh, this is my twin, quote unquote. This is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
that's my twin.
Yeah.
But at the end, before homecoming, y'all hate each other. Y'all gotta have a room accommodation. I mean, not accommodation, a mediation or something like that. Y'all gotta call the RA or about to start tussling. It's on fizz and stuff, and your sweet mates and all that stuff. So yes, it's this conversation. You have to have her conversations. Those are very, very important because people are not mind readers.
No.
So that's one thing, I think I would give people advice, going into college when you like or campus life and all that stuff. Have a conversation with your roommate. That's with the roommate situation, but I know you want to piggyback on what I was about to say. Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like day one, especially if you're having to share a bathroom, like all the residence halls I've lived in on my campus have been ones where I share with my roommates,
Hmm.
floor or communal. So,
Oh,
you
you
know,
had a community bathroom?
no,
Oh, I was about to say, honest dorm daddy. That's not your ministry.
So in our case, we have to buy the toilet paper and paper to
Yeah, we do too.
like communicate that. How often do you clean? Or like you said, Shemai, if I'm bringing my my friend over or a guy over, like, you know, Shemai,
What? I just go ahead. I'll let you talk.
if you're doing that, you got to communicate that and kind of like time frame. Like, okay, if I have class in the morning, don't bring anyone in the room past 12 a.m., especially if you're going to be directly in the room. Um, or kind of an issue I had with my first roommate was that whenever I had a guy over, she always kind of found a way to be around or be like, oh, I need to be in the room, something like that. But when she brought a guy over, it was always like, no, I don't want anybody here type of thing. And so we kind of had to like address that, like, okay, well, I should be given the same respect that you're given. Um, and like you said, people like to touch things, people like to steal. In my first living situation, each person had a roommate, but it was 3 rooms. So that was 6 girls to a suite with 2 bathrooms. And we had one suite mate who I don't really say was stealing per se.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
allegedly stealing or just overusing things. And then we would be like, well, how is this all gone in like a span of 2 or 3 days? And we all,
Allegedly.
yeah, we all came to that consensus. And I will say conversations don't always work all the time, and you may have to get other people involved. Um, that same girl who was allegedly stealing was someone who we had a conversation about cleaning up the suite, all of us together collectively 2 or 3 times. And after the fact, um, I had said something, wasn't even shady or anything. I just said something about cleaning in. She ran up on me and tried to assault me.
Saw tussling?
Yeah, she tried to assault me and she called me a B, and
Wow.
I had to get the, RLs involved because it escalated into something else.
Wait,
And
y'all call it RLs or RAs?
both,
Okay,
it
continue.
flips all the time. Residential leader or resident assistant, like it flips all the time. But
Okay.
yeah, but I'm just telling this story because we did have conversations and that person still decided to act a fool. So start with a conversation, and if you gotta take it to a higher power, do that.
Listen, I feel like women have to go through, like the girls have to go through it worse than the guys have seen, because I was the president of my dorm. So I've seen like, with fights and stuff or arguments and stuff start to break out. I see it was a lot of problems with female roommates rather than the male roommates. That's just, I'm not trying to do a stereotype. I'm just saying what I have seen, from being the president of a dorm, seeing those things firsthand. I've seen like the women go through a lot more stuff than the guys when it comes to being in the same room. Um, yeah, that's really sick though. But that's when I was talking about, people can be, twins,
Yeah.
at the start of the semester, and then before the semester even ends, y'all hate each other. That's what I was referring to. Like a lot of we see that with a lot of females a lot of the time. But you better than me, Lauren. If she would have to put a fingertip on me, she would have been on the floor if I was you. but we're both different people. Okay, I digress.
Yeah.
But no, I think, like you said, conversations are, they don't always help, and it's best to get a mediator, which could be RA or something like that, to mediate the situation. Um, but also like the sweet mates, the whole like sharing the bathroom, and you really see how dirty people are.
Yeah.
You really see how dirty people are. Like, you see, I remember, I can just remember. That's when I was like, I miss having my apartment. I was like, well, maybe, having my, going back to a dorm was really, that transition was tough. We're going back, wear shower shoes, all that stuff. It was tough. So it was like, nah, I'm sorry. But you really see, like, I thought guys were dirty. Women, when it comes to like bathrooms and stuff, that's disgusting.
Atrocious. And I'm sorry to keep going back to the same sweet mate, but that was the same thing. She
It's dirty.
had a hair business, and whenever she did hair in the little living area, um, supplies and hair would be all over the floor. She wouldn't clean up after. She would wash bundles and stuff in the sink and not like clean. Like I agree. I've seen some mail rooms that are a hot mess, but I do agree that a lot of
It
it's
gets to a point.
it's
It gets to a point.
yeah, and even with my living situation now in this new building, well, it's a new building for me, but it's older on campus. And the suite mate that I had next to me, we have to share a bathroom. And I'm so glad she's not no longer my suite mate. Because she was very dirty. Um,
Ooh.
left lots of hair in the shower every time she washed her hair and would expect somebody else to clean it. We at one point had like black mold growing, and the people would tell us, after you shower you have to leave the door open, like you have to
The
just
air doesn't leave out. Yeah, they tell us that too. Well, we had a fan. We had a fan in our bathroom where it could like circulate. I don't know. Not everybody has that, but like we had a fan in the bathroom where it could circulate.
yeah, and she didn't listen, so it would keep growing and you have to keep cleaning it. And ever since she's been gone, I haven't had any of these issues because the new
Oh,
person they brought in, clean. But like you said, it's just I feel like for women it's so many other things. And then when you're dealing with people who kind of have the attitude of I don't care or somebody else will clean up after me, it's never that serious, it's not that deep, or I'll get to it, it gets worse.
it does get worse. Well, I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm saying it probably will get worse. Okay, how do you handle running into exes or former friends constantly on a small campus? I think I'm gonna answer this question because my campus is smaller um compared to yours. Um, I will say I'm gonna start off with Central. Like I said, I was the male version of Wendy Williams. I thought I was. And, I wasn't really liked by all. So, some people would, whisper stuff, and people always think, I would never find stuff out. You'd be surprised with, how people could take you for a joke and think you don't have the ears to the streets, or stuff won't come back to you. People just be so surprised. So I remember, SGA sophomore year, like um the no freshman year. I'm on the sideline doing my job. It was freshman year. I was being a reporter, that stuff, and I remember the student vice president at the time. Um, he said something out of his mouth under his breath. Like, so if you ever been to a HBCU game, all the Royal Court and all the SGA people sit in like one section of the student the home side of the team, and there's like they're right near the bench. But this is how I'm explaining for every stadium is different, but majority everybody has a different section. So at Central, it's not that big of a stadium. It's very old, but the you could literally like the sidelines right here, the stands are right there. Literally, it's no track. You have no track. It's like it's the football stadium, then it's the bleachers. So literally, Royal Court, all those pretty people, I call them. Um, uh, they're right there, and I have good ears, so I be hearing stuff that I don't want to hear. Right? Trust me. When you live in a dorm, you hear stuff that you don't want to hear. But we digress.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another one we're gonna get into.
Yeah.
Okay. Lauren had some flashbacks. As she sips her tea. As she sips her tea.
My ears are traumatized.
Oh, trauma. You need therapy. But no, like I was saying, so I hear stuff, but at the same time, I'm paying attention to the game. And I hear like, oh, they thought, oh, that's my shot. Oh. And the vice president was like, well, there go wannabe Whitney Williams under his breath, right? In at the time, I took that as a compliment, but his tone and his delivery sounded like it was an assault. It was a shade, as it will. You know, I'm not one to like. I'm the one that at the time, this through the shade, so I wasn't scared to receive it back. But I thought about it as a student leader. I went on the air that Monday. As a student leader, how aren't you supposed to be, a representation of people, of the students, not to talk about, people behind their back? And they found out that, and I was one. I was very bold. I was one to say names, so I said his name. I said all that stuff, and then I think like 3 hours later, not 3 hours, probably 2 hours later, I go into the cab because I had to go to class after that, and I see him, and he walked past me with his head down because he knew I could see. So the thing about radio at Central, you could see how much people's listening when you're live. So we could see ratings in real time.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I really miss about Central. Shout out to AudioNet. You could see radio when you see the ratings. So at that time, it was like 500 people listening at that time, right? So I was like, okay, well, let me tell you. After I got all that, so then callers calling you like, are you? I got to show you that. Are you salty? That's still up. So it's on spot. Are you salty? Why are you being salty? Why are you being messy? Do you need that? And I was like, well, thank you for calling. Goodbye. All right, this is. And I was wondering, like, I'm not scared of anybody. So it was like, but God, obviously. So I was like, well, my point was, I'm just a nobody. I'm just a journalist, commentator doing his job. But this person who is doesn't like what somebody's doing or jealous or what have you, don't agree with somebody, want to talk about somebody behind their back as a student leader. That was the problem. So it's just like stuff like that. You got to, yeah, you gotta navigate. I don't know how I got to there, but it was like,
Oh, the question was like, how do you navigate seeing people you've fallen out with or
oh, thank you. There we go. Thank you. So to answer the question, I'm not scared. I'll say hello. Well, I won't act like you exist. Um, oh, because once you disrespect me on multiple occasions, I give you like two times. I'm done. I'm
Mhm.
done. I walk past you like you don't exist. And if I have to, I have to talk to you, and if I have to, I'm mature enough. I'll talk to you if it's business related or something like that. But nah, that's how I navigate people. And then the thing is, that whole mafia of SGA. and
Yes.
at North Carolina Central. At the time, I don't know how it is now. I'm speaking of my experience at the time. This I was there from 2022 to 2024, so that 2 years. At the time, that whole mafia was like a very like iffy. If you didn't fit in, like you were looked down upon. So it's and we talked about this a lot of times. So it was like they
So,
when they say hi to you, it's like they're trying to get something out of you. Like even the advisor, which
mhm.
like was just messy, just messy. It's just like, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. So I just I just keep moving on because I know my bigger picture. It's like that's how I navigate. But go ahead, Lauren. Sorry.
That's exactly how it is here. I love how you called it a mafia.
Yes.
I even say the same thing here. I've been actually kind of navigating this for the past almost year, and I'm actually upset that I'm having to deal with it again. Um, there's a lot of people that I guess I was really close with and had a falling out with that I also served in student leadership with.
Mm,
These people have gotten new positions just like me, and I agree with you, Shimei. Once somebody blatantly disrespects me once, twice, three times, we are done.
mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Now, if I have to talk to you, so like if I am serving in Royal Court and you're an SGA and we have to do something together, great. Hi and bye. If I gotta speak to you about this or that, okay. But as for the extra outings and the kikiing and being friends again, no. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
That's how I navigate it. And I don't go out of my way anymore to try to, like you said, fit in with the clique.
And
If
I noticed this. And I don't understand why. Like when it's hard to look at this while you're in the moment. It's hard to understand like the you want all these things like being president, being Mr. or Miss or something like that. You want to do those things, right? And that at that time, that's very important to you in your life, in everybody else's life on campus, right? But like 50, well, 10, 20 years now, nobody's going to care that you are the Mr. or the Miss of your university. Like, no one, well, it might help on a job application, but at the same time, like, is it really like the needle, pusher or something like that? No. And half of those people, who are, the Mr. or Miss, end up don't doing nothing, you know, or don't really live up to the hype that they really thought you thought that they were marketed to be, post grad, all that stuff. They really live up to the hype of what they were promoted to be.
yeah,
So I have learned that like it's not really all about the hype, all about all these they have these titles for right now, but let's see how they really are post graduation.
exactly. Exactly. And a lot of people in that situation, at least at my university, I found that they end up working. They end up coming back, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's working in departments or working staff admin, like, and they try to kind of relive
Yep.
the thing. So yeah,
Now, I don't want to. It's not for everybody. There are some people who didn't who did serve and they do come back because they feel like that's like their calling and all that stuff. But like, if you say like, for instance, the Mister from my freshman year, he's the singer in host and all that stuff. Dude works at a bank.
mhm,
Like that makes no sense.
yeah,
That makes no
yeah,
sense. Like, how do you like? He was mass comm. That makes no sense. Like, why are you working at a bank and you have a mass comm degree?
right.
That really don't make sense. And he was part of NBJ. It's like that makes no sense. It really don't. I'm sorry. It really does not make any sense. If that whole you know royal court and all these job titles and all that stuff took up most of your time, that shouldn't be a priority. Yeah, your career, I think people forget that, that they get lost and all that stuff. Now there are some people who actually, have the title and have a job or something like that after graduation. Cause you're the miss, what is it, 1812? No, not
Oh,
19. 1867, 1967.
It's 1935.
35, excuse me. Sorry. So much numbers to keep up with. But you're going to be a news anchor. You're going to be a reporter somewhere. And you're the student representative of the NBJ. So just like, think about that. So like that's going to open up doors. You're probably going to be a desk assistant, probably at CBS, because I know you love you some CBS. I'm speaking it into existence for you, right? Start off there and then work your way up. You're not just going to be wrapped up until you're serving. That's what people like really think, that this is their big moment, like their highlight of their life.
Exactly. Exactly. Like that's the best way to put it. A lot of people um get so wrapped up in a title, get so wrapped up in pride and arrogance that that's part of the reason why I would say a Shea Royal Court, things of that nature get so mafia like or messy because everybody's so wrapped up in themselves and wanting to feel important
Yeah,
that they don't know how to treat people. They don't actually know how to be a leader. They don't actually know how to serve. And like you said, once you get out of that role, there's nothing else to show for your college
nothing,
experience.
nothing.
So yeah, right now I'm navigating, just being around people I don't necessarily I would say like or get along with, but I kind of have to be mature in some areas and get along. But like I said, I don't have to be going out with them. I don't have to be the kikiing with them. I don't have
Yeah, you'll have to go get some drinks with them at the bar or something like that. Exactly.
it's business only.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the whole like running into your ex type thing,
Oof. Have not had that situation happen to me yet.
it's
Wow, I really have it. Well, okay, to be fair, I did move. So it's really hard to do that when you move. Now, I did run into like an ex friend, um, and but that was that was like fresh though. But we acted like no, we didn't exist to each other. But I haven't been in that situation yet. I really want to be in that situation to see how I react. No, I like to test myself. You know, Lauren, you have to test yourself in life to see how you react. I'm telling you, that's how you got. Sometimes you only live once, so I want to be tested to see how I react. But I'm a petty person. I have some growth to do. We all do. I'm a petty person, so if I was to be, actually, let's go into this scenario. If you were with a new person, like say if you were on a date with somebody, right? Right? Say if you're at a nice restaurant and you see lock screen, right? What would you do? Would you run, or would you like what would happen? Like if you like ran into,
it really depends.
okay.
It depends. Okay, like is he with somebody?
That's a good, okay, say if you see him with somebody.
Like I'm a just probably feel some type of way, but at the same time, I gotta focus on my date.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. That would be a very political correct answer. Good.
Yeah, but no, if I'm on a date, I can't run away.
No, no, you can't. No, you can't.
He would be petty and come up to the date and try to.
That I was. I knew it. I knew you would say. I wanted you to say it. I want you to admit it. Okay, she admits it. This is, see, we're doing therapy every week. I should be a therapist, journalist, and therapist. I won't put it on my business card.
Yeah, like he would do that. I think the times I have seen him, it just really depends. Some days he'll act like he don't know who I am. Then some days he'll come up to me and say hello. Um, it just really depends. I think now, I think about this all the time, Shemai. There was a
That's like your dark. Like, okay, I'm gonna let you finish. Go
oh
ahead.
no, no. I think about so there's this person that I grew really close to was talking to before that guy. Um, and we were really close and whatnot. And even after we stopped talking, every time he would see me, we were like, hi, how you doing? Hug, all that type of thing. And once he got a girlfriend, you know, he flipped the switch. Like he would just walk past me and not even
Wow.
word, nothing. I mean,
Wow.
I respect him because I mean, okay, you're in a relationship
I don't
and
like people like that. Why do you have to cut people off just because you get into a relationship? That's weird. That wasn't a real friend. That wasn't a real friend.
yeah, it was just like, dang, like, okay.
Dang. No hello, no. But no, actually, you just reminded me of something. I saw one of like my old friends' family this past like a few days ago. This
Hmm,
past week. Like I saw the person's mom and brother.
wow.
And the mother said hello to me. And we had a bad like ending of things for the friendship and all that stuff. And the mother said hello to me. And it was like, okay. I said hello back because I'm not a rude person. Someone says hello, I say hello back. But the thing is, I knew that it was them. It was, so because I'm always aware of my surroundings. So when I saw that, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
No way. And I just said hello, and I was see I'm not the person though. I'm not gonna say it. So if I walk past you, I wanted to see if she, and I wanted to see was she gonna say something, and she did. She did. So it's like, but they are Southern people, so usually Southern people are very kinder and all that stuff. No matter what they are.
Hmm.
But in the end, if I was to see someone I really wanted to see, I would have to text you, Lauren, to see like if it was to happen. I want to see did I react correctly.
It's gonna depend on how you see them.
I don't know. I'm going back home this week, and I really hope I don't see people. Oh, oh, that would be dangerous. But we digress. That would be digress. That would be interesting. I had an ex friend that went to North Carolina, that goes to North Carolina A&T,
Oh, yeah. I keep
and they are really like a, they're in TMCF, and that's one thing I'm like kind of like
but I mean, but there's so many people there. It'd
I
be
understand that, but like still, it's just like, ugh, you get it, you get what I'm saying? Like, imagine having to work with like your ex unintentionally. Like, just imagine you had to work at this thing.
already had to experience.
Imagine you had to work. Say if you yes, guess what? Imagine it's like the best job in the world. You're Gail. You're Gail's replacement. And oh boy, is your co-host or your executive producer or your executive producer.
We would have to
Would you still work there or you would have to say Tulu? Oh, you would.
have amazing chemistry.
Really?
Yes, he has a great, persona of putting on a mask.
Mm. Oh, we know. We know. Okay. What happens when your relationship um with a professor or becomes complicated?
Yeah. The first professor that comes to mind, don't want to name drop her, but
Go ahead. It's public information. She's on payroll. We can look up her salary. But go ahead.
yeah, I have told this story.
Yes, you have.
I have to even the mentors of the short course. I name drop and everything. So, anyways, this
Wait,
professor.
wait, wait, wait. Hold on. Let me make sure this is clear. You name drop the professor at the
Yes.
short course. You're not naming dropping the mentors from the short course.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So yeah, there's a professor. Her last name is Jackson, and
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
yeah, she's in our department. In my freshman year, I went to an event with her. Oh, she went to Jackson State undergrad, and then she went to University of Mizzou for her doctorate degree.
Oh,
Anyways, yeah, she's black.
okay.
Um,
Lauren knows what this means. So when I do this, it means white or black. Someone in our short course did this, and I just took it. I don't know who did that, but okay, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so my freshman year, mind you, I never had a class with her yet. I went to an event with her, and this was an event where we were just supposed to be sitting in. The event was held at Hampton, and it was for the community. And when we got back in the van, she snapped on me saying, why didn't you ask a question? There was a student there from Hampton who asked a question and started like tearing me down as a
In
student.
front of other people?
And then
Oh, you,
proceeded to call me a failure.
wow.
And yes. And since then I've kind of, felt some type of way about her. And when I had a class with her last fall, she kind of proceeded to do the same type of thing, and it wasn't just with me, it was with other students, calling them stupid or giving people excessively low grades just because. Um, and even with me, she would love to pull me outside of class to say, you're not taking my class serious. And, just I had a misspelling on a PowerPoint and she said, you're stupid because of XYZ. And that you're not going to be able to get a job, all these different things. And what I've learned with her after talking to some other professors is that I just had to take what she has with a grain of salt. And I don't know if she's bitter of where she is in life. I don't know if she's just dealing with something internally. But the way I just got through that class was just showing up and doing the best that I could.
Being present.
Yeah. I had another professor in my department, a younger professor who I had an issue with her because I guess she wanted to be a friend. And at HBCU campuses, I don't know if I assume it's here and at other HBCUs, but you also have younger faculty sometimes that want to be like besties and
With the click.
yeah, they want to be with a clique or either like be so invested in your personal life, but it's not like on a mentorship level. It's like a
On a friend level.
yeah. And I remember getting on a Zoom call with her, and she tried to accuse me of like, you're failing my class, even though my grades were like stellar, like I'm not failing your class. And she then said something out her mouth like, well, you spend so much time in this other professor's office. You don't ever spend time with me. Um, I want to be your friend. I want to be there for you. And every week it was something with her that was almost to me on the line of like unprofessional. Like I look at you as my professor, and unless you're gonna actually like mentor me, we don't need to be talking outside of class. And
Hmm.
so I've had issues with professors, and honestly, some issues are just solved, like I said, by showing up, going to class, and then some things you have to take to a higher level. I've had professors where I've reported them to the dean because they couldn't get my grades together. I know my freshman year, um, I missed an exam because I had COVID. Like during finals week, I had got COVID, and at that time, I wasn't allowed to go to the in-person exam. And so I sent everything to the dean of students, exemptions, everything. And I looked at my transcript, and the lady gave me an incomplete for the class. And, after reaching out, she tried to make excuses, like trying to say I was lying and all these different things. And I had to like send all of my records just going to the next higher up, next higher up, next higher up to fight for my grade change to have an actual grade. I think dealing with professors, you number one, and this is the biggest lesson I've learned in the past year, is that I'm an adult and they're an adult. And so certain things they have to check themselves when they're saying or what they're doing, because not only am I contributing to your paycheck by paying my tuition, but we're adults. So there's certain things you just can't say to me as if, I'm a child or treat me a certain way and think I can't do anything.
Listen, belittle. I hate when people belittle people, especially when they do it in front of like because they want they know they have an audience, so they
Mhm.
like to do it when they are in front of like your peers and try to embarrass you in some type of way. I don't like that. But now I do respect people who are stern but fair.
Yes,
I
exactly.
do respect people that there was a professor, and he's the NABJ Hall of Famer. And he was one of my great mentors. His name is Brett Chambers. he was one of the people. People always warn you like, oh, he's mean. He's I would I'll watch my back with him, all that stuff. But like, I like to take people's opinion on stuff, but I like to experience stuff by myself. But I do want a heads up. So I already had the heads up, like, okay, why do people say like he's mean, all that stuff? And actually, like, having a conversation and having a conversation and listening to him, those people who were saying stuff, they were the people who wasn't doing work. They were the people who wasn't showing up to class. They were the people who, were lazy, wasn't putting in the work. But when he sees like you're consistent, you're present, and you know what you want in life and your career, he's nice. He's fair. He's a fair person. He has he paid for pay for us to go get lunch after an NBJ meeting. He's brought me home after an NBJ meeting. So he's a good guy. So I don't understand so stuff like that. I understand, but people have to understand. You remember the business that you're getting into. I'm speaking from my experience. And understand that some people are preparing you, but also they're testing you, and some people don't pass the test. Um, so with Mr. Chambers, he's one of the first people I call. Like, if I ever get like a big accomplishment, I thank him because he gave me one of the first people when I went to college to you know to resources and methods and all that stuff to go pursue and give me that type of confidence to go do what I want to do, and give me that type of guidance. I didn't know. I knew about NBJ um in high school a little bit, but he taught me. He invited me to the chapter meeting that he founded. He's one of the chapter meet. I didn't even know this until like but he's that type of dude. His daughter works for ESPN. She does all his daughter is Ari Chambers. If you know, like, she does all the WNBA stuff, all like women's stuff. That's his daughter. Like, so he knows what he's talking about. So all that stuff, like, all right, I just like I listen and take it in. And it's stuff like that I really love, professors like that and people like that look out for you. Now there has been professor. I think I talked about this. Another wasn't a professor, but was like a person over the at my new school where I'm at now, Fayetteville State. It's totally different. It's like it's that sternness, but I feel like it's not that fairness. It's not fair at all. So it is what it is. You have to take it. You have to dibble and dabble and all that stuff. But you have to context matters. Not everything is the same way for everybody, but you have to know your boundaries as well. People don't know, like, some people's boundaries. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
And when you speak of that, there was this admin that I was my first kind of 2.5 years here helping out. She had a group of students helping out, bringing in incoming freshmen, and she's a white woman. And last fall, I was in Indianapolis with the Spartan Legion Marching Band on assignment, and I told her there's a certain Zoom I cannot make it because I'm at work. Like I'm out the state. Like I'm working.
Was this during versus Central?
Mm-mm. This was against, I think, South Carolina State, I think.
Okay. Okay.
And I was getting ready, like doing my makeup and whatnot. I said, "Oh, I actually can maybe just listen to the Zoom." And there was another young lady on the Zoom with a bonnet on, and I didn't turn my camera on. And she started making comments of, "I want to see your bonnet, Aloran. Turn your camera on." Yes, like asking repeatedly to see my bonnet and things of that nature. And so I just logged off and I immediately sent an email to her supervisor saying, this is inappropriate. This isn't the first time she's made, racially motivated comments. And the supervisor had a conversation, I guess, with her, but not much action was taken. Yeah. And I got an email from that professor, telling me you're no longer able to be a part of this group and the things I was doing. And so since
So
then,
wait, she dropped you from the class?
well, it wasn't a class, it's kind of like an extracurricular type thing.
Oh, okay. I thought this was a class. Okay, I'm
She
sorry.
removed me from it. And since then, I've told other students about my experience, and because other students were asking me like, why aren't you a part of this anymore? And I tell them why every time. And when you say
And
boundaries,
that's not discrimination. Just let you know. That's not discrimination. People are just telling you their experience. People would try to threaten you, say, "Oh, you're discriminating my character." Because that's what the other guy at my new school did. Because I was telling people my experience about what was happening with what I was experiencing at this radio station. That's not discrimination of character. That's telling your side of the story and your experience. Go ahead, Lauren. Sorry.
I was telling people my experience as to why I left, and people are asking me this and that. And I realized that my boundaries were different than theirs. They said, "Oh, yeah, I've experienced something similar, but I didn't really take it that serious. I didn't take it to heart. It doesn't really matter, she's playing and all these different things." But I was saying to myself, like, that made me very uncomfortable. And this wasn't the first time. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned that speaking up for that boundary I had, it didn't give me necessarily the result that I wanted, but at least I don't have to deal with that type of treatment anymore. And they may have to still put up with it because they think it's funny. And so when you mentioned boundaries, that just kind of came to mind because even being at my HBCU, sometimes I feel like my boundaries when it comes to confronting these people or what it takes for me to confront someone, is totally different than what others may deem, needs to be talked about.
Yeah, my friend Devin, my high school friend that person I went to high school with, Devin, he used to say, people will do you the way you allow them to do you, how you let them do you.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Exactly.
people would do you the way you allow them to do you. So I take that, you know, like, well, I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. And like
Hmm.
you said, we're both adults here.
Yeah.
Yes, you probably could be my grandfather. Yes, or my grandmother. Yes, right? But I'm still a person. I'm still an adult. I'm still human. So you need to treat me with respect. Just because I'm not, and that's what I feel like a lot of people are stuck in these old realms of how, corporate America is or something like that. Or, in our case, the media industry is so hardcore. It's that in some aspect, yes, but time has changed. In the way that some of these people be treating students, that's an HR case. That's a case that's harassment. If you want to talk about harassment or discrimination, no, that's not discrimination of character, but that's harassment when it's like the whole bonding situation. You're better than me. Let a white woman tell me to take off. Well, I don't wear do rags, but let a white woman tell my little sister to take off her bonnet or ask her where's her bonnet at. Now, you know,
Hmm.
some black women. I love my black women. Black women are the best thing God ever created. Okay. But some black women do go out in public with bonnets on, and it is a little ghetto, so they do set themselves up for failure. Okay, we get that, but doesn't give white people the right to say, "Where's your bonnet?"
It's not your place. And to
Yes,
another student, what are you insinuating?
yeah. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, like
I didn't hear that.
exactly. I didn't hear
I
that.
didn't hear that.
That's why exactly I just clicked logged off and sent that email. And I don't want to say like I'm still pursuing this, but in some ways I am because I have
Hmm.
students. I have, try to find ways to get this exposed. Because like you said, we're adults and
Yeah,
we deserve that type of treatment, especially
and people who are paid, like people forget that, like we're paying. Well, not you, but like
but
we're paying for to be here, so we should get some. You guys should be serving us, not disrespecting us. That's what I just don't understand.
thank you. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where, anyone who's listening, please stand up for yourself and just
Yeah, don't be scared to. That's easier said than done, I would say, because sometimes it is intimidating, to speak to people. You feel like nervous or a little scared, because like they have this power over you, all that jazz, and that takes time because it's still I still deal with that a little bit in some ways. Trying to advocate and all that stuff, but don't let people push you around. Now, I'm not gonna let nobody push me around or do
Mm-mm.
me some type of way. I wouldn't allow that. I'm sorry. It gets to a point. All right, now let's get to the talk question of the day. How do you deal with social media dramas when in college? And what's some advice you would give to someone to prevent this social media drama?
I
Alone.
think I think the first thing, because like Shimei, when I first met you, you talked about how your close friends list is so small.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to post everything
Nope.
because even on your private story, you don't need to post everything because people take screenshots, people
Yeah.
send things around, and that's honestly the first step in how drama happens. I would say don't get fizz. I hate fizz. I don't like it. I've never been posted on it, but I've just seen it cause so much drama in other people's lives that it's just like I want no parts of it. But yeah, I think the main thing I would tell somebody, you don't have to post everything. If
Mm-hmm.
you're talking to somebody, you don't need to post it. Also, be careful what you send in messages because people like to screenshot messages and post them and send them. So just being so mindful because just going back to the beginning of the show, like I said, there are so many people you will find out they are not your friends. They are not for you. They are just simply around you to either get something, be nosy, or they have nobody else to be around at the time.
I would say, just to piggyback off of a Lauren, not everything is meant to be posted. Not everything is meant to be posted. Now, if someone just is like, trying to diminish your character on social media, I will clap back. Now
Yeah.
it does get to a point. Now you do have to clear your name.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like drama and all that stuff, just be careful what you post, especially because people forget, college is supposed to be the best time of the year, all that stuff. But you don't have to post a picture, with your middle finger up. You don't have to post a picture when you're 19 with a bottle because people do background checks. People do, now we got AI, people can, see what you post on social media, who's watching, it doesn't matter if it's private or public. And like you said, a close friends is not meant for 120 people or 200 people. Close friends, if you have close friends on Instagram, it should be, in my opinion, less than 10 people, 10 or less people. That's my rule. Sometimes I try to keep it at 8,
Mhm.
but depending what I'm doing, where I'm at, you know, not it's close friends. My close friends is not really that bad either, but not everything is meant to be publicized in a
Exactly.
way because I'm very private with my personal life. So sometimes I just don't want everybody that I got over 1,000 people that follow me. I don't know over 1,000 people. You understand? So like I don't want people knowing how my little brother looks or my little sister looks. That's not none of your business. So it's like so like that. It's just like that's the purpose of a close friends or a private story or something like that. That's the purpose. Yeah. So not everything is meant to be posted, especially with social media. And I feel like with the piggyback on like be careful what you text. Um, I would say that too. Be careful what you text, but also have respect for yourself. Remember, it's just like not everything is meant to be said. When you, when you have evidence now, thank God, there's a thing where you can delete your messages and isn't that under like 10 minutes or five
Yeah.
minutes or
It's really short. So
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
could already.
yeah. That's true. That's really true. Before you know it, Apple's gonna show you how they screenshot it too. Before you know it. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, just be careful. Just be careful. Social media is very dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah. Lauren, you got like 5011 accounts, so it's really hard to keep up with you. You got
I
a Lauren official, you got a Lauren Gilchrist, you got it's just like this is so much to keep up with.
yeah, I've divided my personal media personality life over here and then just strictly news portfolio account. And then I made one more for my campus royalty campaign, all that.
Yeah, you got like four, you got a lot of emails, don't you? I got three Instagrams. That's not bad. Well, one of them is the Cook Entertainment one.
But
The
like even with the so-called spams, like I have one, but I don't, like you said, I'm not oversharing or constantly putting out things because at the end of the day, nothing is really private.
Oh, you should see how much people are requested. Well, you don't even know. You can't even know that's my well, unless you do like a deep dive. But you don't even know that's my spam.
Mhm.
You don't even know unless I tell you. See, people be looking for Bob but find Steve. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 7 of Did You Hear That with Shimei and Lauren. Remember to like and subscribe. And we see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen.